I spoke to actually someone who does work in the fire service who's been incredibly worried about this, and I said, did you think that alert was necessary? And they said no. That sort of loud siren blaring out of your phone, there are a number of people around the country who might be hiding phones because they may be victims of domestic abuse, or that, there are many number of reasons why you might have a hidden phone. And if that siren is blared out tonight, then, I'm worried for those people.
It is now time for the Westminster Wrap, and Ava Evans has stepped in heroically. Good evening, Ava.
Good evening. You pulled me away from my quiet evening in the garden, but, I was happy to do it.
We got you out of the heat. We've done you a favour.
Yeah, you have actually. Yeah.
Of course, you're doing the favour to us. But Ava is, of course, politics editor at PoliticsJOE UK. Now, we're going to start with the Clacton by-election. Nigel Farage has won that by-election in Clacton today, securing 63% of the vote, higher than the amount that he won at the 2024 general election. The highly unusual by-election saw a record 34 candidates stand, but was boycotted by all the main Westminster parties. Bridget Phillipson, Minister for Women and Equality, spoke to Times Radio Breakfast about that result.
Why on earth should we or anybody else dance to Nigel Farage's tune? Just because he decides he wants to waste taxpayers' money having a by-election in his seat doesn't mean any of us should feel responsible for being a part of that.
Nigel Farage's victory means that the Parliamentary Standards investigation into his £5 million donation has been reopened, having been suspended when he first resigned as an MP. Clacton Airfield gathering, dubbed Farage Fest, the Reform UK leader unveiled a catchy new rally song for his cheering supporters, which I think we have. OK, Ava, were you aware of that song?
That actually felt like a stroke of comedy genius when there was some silence there. That was his victory call or his victory chant, and it's just dead silence. I wasn't aware of that, no.
It's real. It's official campaign material. I think the board's going up on every street. I think that bit's quite good.
To be fair, that is actually true. I did spend quite a bit of time in Clacton during that by-election, and there were a number of boards, and I would say that the ardent Nigel Farage supporters were very much coming out to support him during that by-election. You weren't really hearing wavering from amongst them. So, perhaps there's an element of truth to that chant.
I mean, one thing I sort of thought about this, I personally didn't feel that strategically this worked out for Farage. It didn't resolve the problem of if the investigation still happened and a possible subsequent by-election. You'd have sort of thought that they would just want to get past this, ignore it and start the next chapter. It hasn't been a great summer for them, but they just seem to like getting in fights at the moment. People like Zia Youssef, they're so combative. It seems to be proving now a massive distraction for them, fighting all these rucks with journalists and the online community.
Well, I mean, even today, this morning I was listening to Lee Anderson and Richard Tice across various broadcasters, and the question on everyone's lips, all journalists' lips, was not, did Nigel Farage, move to victory? Is he victorious and is now the whole ordeal settled? The question was, why on earth was he not at the by-election? And was he telling the truth when he said that there had been a very serious threat made against him that Essex Police had relayed to him and the Reform team, and that's why he didn't show up? And then you had Richard Tice and Lee Anderson sort of being rather combative with presenters, arguing that perhaps police forces aren't always telling the truth, so they wouldn't necessarily give all of their inside information to them. I mean, that's a rather extraordinary argument to have the day after a by-election, isn't it? For the Reform Party to go after the police. That doesn't seem very strategic to me.
Yes, but on the other hand, they did have this incredible bit of their song. Let's have another blast. OK, look, I think that actually pulls it all back. That papers over some of the problems with the campaign. Now we're going to talk about asylum plans. Now the government is planning to house thousands of asylum seekers in disused military sites. In a move police are warning will cause tension and unrest. In June it was announced that military bases in Suffolk, Oxfordshire and North Yorkshire were to be converted. All three sites, Labour have been accused of bypassing local communities. Andy Burnham defended the plans, saying more affluent areas must play their part. I mean, Ava, this could be, there are situations here where towns could have a bigger population of migrants than the town. It's inevitable that this is going to cause some sort of tension.
And it certainly did actually cause tension in Makerfield. So, in towns around Wigan that I visited during that by-election that elected Andy Burnham, there was a lot of concern from local councillors and sort of local community groups around asylum seekers who had been moved from London into smaller areas around Wigan, and they were being moved into HMOs, which was part of Keir Starmer's plan actually to sort of to get asylum seekers out of hotels. But the problem is the problem that you have is that this issue will not resolve itself until you start processing people at pace. The last time that I did check, when we were looking at asylum claims, it was over 80% of them were granted when they were finally looked at by the Home Office. And a lot of these people have been waiting 2 to 3, if not 4 years, sometimes in hotels at an exorbitant cost to the taxpayer. But the point is that if you're not going to process people and then decide that actually certain people should be deported, certain people then can start living their lives properly in Britain, they can get jobs, they can rent houses, with the money that they have earned, you're going to have this problem going on and on for years and years and years. And, I think it's fair to say that the public don't necessarily want it. I mean, I lived next door to an asylum seeker hotel for a number of years down in East London. And, for me, I found it very difficult because there were a lot of men who were grouped around the hotel way into the early hours of the morning, and they looked very desperate. They had nothing to do because they're not able to work. They were essentially prisoners. They couldn't go anywhere. They've got no money. They've got like the £80 stipend that the government affords to them, but that's not very much. You can't actually do anything with that. The issue is unsolvable. That you can spread them around the country as much as you like, but the issue is not going to resolve itself unless you actually sort out the processing system.
Is the point of tension really that actually, Andy Burnham's saying, well, everyone's got to do their bit. Some of it can be in town centres, some would need to be in villages. But the public, or certainly a significant portion of the public, just want less people to be granted asylum. Is that the kind of rock that they're eventually going to have to come up against? Is the public aren't saying, well, it's not a question of spreading the burden. People think that we should potentially be granting less asylum. I'm not. That's not a value judgment from me, but is that part of the issue that Labour Party are going to face?
Well, I would also say I think that Britons are very charitable by nature. I mean, if you look at what happened, in the wake of the Ukraine war, you look at how many people opened their homes to people and had them stay in their homes, many of them still living in the United Kingdom, and as they should until that war is finished. And if they want to stay on, then that is their choice. But I think the nature of small boats crossing has changed. I've covered Calais for years and years. And there's certainly, at one point in time, you really did feel that there were a lot of Afghans who were travelling over, a lot of young children who were stuck in France, who were desperate asylum seekers who were coming from the fallout of that war with the Taliban that the UK played a major part in. And, I think people were very charitable to that. And I think there were some serious mistakes made by government having these people languishing hotels or dying on the Channel. But the nature of that has now changed, and it is changing rapidly. And the nature of where smugglers are assisting people in crossing that channel very, very dangerously in boats that are not seaworthy, with hundreds of people on the boats. It's incredibly, incredibly dangerous. From countries where actually they could probably get a visa. They don't need to make that dangerous crossing. And I think that that's where the British people's patience runs out.
We're going to talk about disposable barbecues now. The UK government has temporarily banned the sale of disposable barbecues across Great Britain due to an extreme wildfire risk caused by ongoing heat and drought conditions. Prime Minister Andy Burnham has warned that the country is like a tinderbox, with fire crews currently tackling dozens of blazes across England and Wales. Officials are urging the public to avoid lighting open fires outdoors as emergency plans and potential financial support for fire services are drawn up. I mean, did you get the alert earlier, Ava, on your phone?
Yeah, I did. And as I said, I was sitting in the garden and it was quite interesting just hearing like the sort of cacophony of sirens that were sounding all around me.
What was your first thought? What did you think it might be to alert you? Or another by-election, maybe?
Yeah, or like, I don't know, like, Man United are 1-0 down, something like that. To me, I don't know, it just seemed a bit overblown, doesn't it? It's like, I do really understand the gravity, and I understand that there are very stupid people who could lead to, to wildfires. And I spoke to someone who does work in the fire service who's been incredibly worried about this. And I said, did you think that alert was necessary? And they said no. That sort of loud siren blaring out of your phone. There are a number of people around the country who might be hiding phones because they may be victims of domestic abuse, or that, the many number of reasons why you might have a hidden phone. And if that siren is blared out tonight, then, I'm worried for those people, especially when it's not that serious, really.
I mean, look, the government do have to have the right to have... That risk will always be a risk if the government determine that they have to communicate something to the public. I think the threshold at which they do that, maybe in this case, was a bit premature. But, Ava, does it slightly annoy you that we live in a country where people do need to be reminded to drink water when it's hot and to not throw cigarette butts onto very dry grass? I mean, is it just a bit frustrating that needs to be a message that the government handle?
Incredibly, but I'm not frustrated at the government. I am really frustrated at the people who do not drink water and do throw their cigarettes out of their car window. And I will tell you this, because the number of tubes that I have been on this summer where a tube has had to emergency stop in a station and an ambulance has had to be called because someone hasn't been drinking enough water. And I'm really sorry to say this, but a lot of the time it is tourists. Maybe I'm going to be really liberal here and you're going to hate this. I just know you're going to hate this. Maybe we need to have water fountains more readily available.
The bleeding heart liberal thing comes out.
Yeah.
So spending other people's money because people can't take accountability and responsibility and just drink the water. Listen, we're going to have to lighten the mood here and we're going to play a bit of this. Yes, that's right. It's time for Play Your Card World's Right. I think we will just call it that even when Peter's not here in honour of the great man. But this week it's play your Evans, play your Avas right. Doesn't fully scan. But this week, students across the UK received their A-level results with almost 1 in 10 grades awarded an A star. But Ava, how many students were accepted into university? Was it higher or lower than 280,000? Higher or lower? Higher.
I think I do actually know this. Can I guess? Was it 286,000? Was that the number?
Well, first up the question is higher or lower, please.
Oh, higher.
As the game's master here. Do you know it wasn't actually? It was lower. It was 262,000.
No.
820. Okay. That's okay. Look, we've got 2 more questions. You can get your name on the board. Also, this week, it was revealed that thousands of civil servants continue to work from home amid concerns about public sector productivity. In the Department for Work and Pensions alone, how many civil servants are not even required to work from the office? Was the number higher or lower than 1,500? Was it higher or lower?
I reckon it would be higher. Is it higher?
Yep, you got a point. Now, for a bonus point, if you get within 200, I will give you a bonus point. So it is higher. It's higher than 1,500, but have a guess the exact number.
The exact number who can work from home.
Not even required to work from the office at all.
Okay, what about 1950?
1950, it's even higher than that. It's 2,413. This country, it's a disgrace. This is a disgrace. The game's gone. We used to be a proper country. Now...
They're probably doing good work at home,
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to trigger the working from home community, but people, when they say they're more productive working from home, any working situation that allows you to go to the barbers, watch a film and have a nap, we'll all hold our own view. Don't text in, that's just my view.
Put a bit of laundry on, sometimes...
Well, it's amazing how much people can pack in, isn't it? But anyway... finally, Nigel Farage has been re-elected as MP for Clacton. According to analysis by Politico, the Reform UK leader spent more than 10 grand on his campaign. Actually seems not that high, to be honest. But how much of that went towards videos urging local voters to put "I'm with Nigel" signs in their gardens? So they were actually trying to pay people to put these signs in their gardens. But was it, Ava Evans, higher or lower than £500?
Oh... Is it?
What would it cost you? I mean, let's establish that. How much?
If it was Facebook ads, I'm going to go with lower.
No, these were actual physical signs, I believe. Yes, to put "I'm with Nigel" actual signs in their garden. Absolutely brilliant blast there. Excuse me. So sorry, I didn't catch that. Was it higher or lower than £500?
I'm going to go with higher.
Higher. You got another point, and if you get within 100 here, I'll give you a bonus point, which will take you to 4 out of 6.
Okay, go on, 7.5 grand.
I mean, that's insanely high. I mean, I would have an "I'm with Nigel" sign for that kind of money. It's actually £1,000, Ava.
Oh, okay.
Would you do it for £1,000?
Look, I think my friends would probably enjoy that, wouldn't they? Although it might affect my BBC impartiality if I ever choose to go on that channel again, you know?
That is a very, very fair point. Ava Evans, political editor at PoliticsJOE UK. Thanks very much for joining us.